Welcome, replay viewers. This is Tim David. We are doing something completely different today. I'm letting you behind the scenes into a live training that I am doing for my paying clients. And my paying clients, just so you have some context, are halfway through a 4-month process and a 4-month program designed to get their speaking businesses up and running as fast as possible. So in that context, there are specific strategies that we teach them. And this is just one of the strategies for getting booked and getting paid to speak. So we're going to share with you some of these strategies. I invite you to comment below whether you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook in the Facebook group. By all means, would love to have your participation. Now, while people are filing in, I am going to go ahead and share my screen and show you something that I consider to be the entire speaking business on one slide. The entire speaking business on one slide. Now, I consider it to be that because it kind of is that. So what I mean by that is, look, this... Oh, hey, Kenneth on the YouTubes. Hello, Evie and Dean. Welcome. I see the chats coming through already. Fantastic. We got YouTube and Facebook working for us, which is huge. We're going to spend about an hour today diving deep and giving you a full walkthrough throughout this technique. If you want to follow along in the Get Speaking Gigs book, this is called the Bobber Method. So I know that's a little bit cryptic for those of you who are not familiar with the Bobber Method, but once again, it is one of the fastest and easiest ways to book speaking gigs. Now, it will cost a little bit of money, and I say a little bit of money, and I say cost with you know, those two things are fully subjective. Some people may view it as cost. Some people may view it as investment. Some people will view it as a very little bit. Some people will view it as backbreaking. So the range is going to be in the few $100s, but these are things that you are, you know, you have the option of investing in these. These are not, you know, my programs or products per se, but again, I just want to give you the heads up that to sort of cut the line and book gigs faster and easier, there is a little bit of upfront investment. Sometimes it's an investment of time. In this case, there is, again, a little bit of money investment, but, you know, again, you can fully expect that you will see the returns on that. That's what an investment is. You put a little bit in, you get a lot out. Now, that's the reason we run this training. We don't just simply say, hey, go do this thing, go buy this thing, whatever it is. You've got to do it the right way. You've got to fully extract the value. So I'm going to go ahead and click on ye old share screen button. And we're going to go ahead and let's get this screen shared and let's pop it into this format. So right now you should be looking at myself and a blank screen, and we're going to go over again what I call the entire speaking business on one slide. Now, the reason and the way, hey, Taya, hey, Richard, thanks so much again for popping in on the chat. Once again, we are here to learn an easy and fast way to book paid speaking gigs. In fact, we're going to go through several ways to do that today. You know, kind of go deep a little bit, give you the full walkthrough and tell you exactly how I do it. In fact, today, I was able to book a discovery call using this process. So let's unpack all of that and let's dive into the entire speaking business on one slide, because it is not just one thing that gets a speaker booked and paid. It is not just being a good speaker, right? We know this. We know that sometimes terrible speakers are getting bookings and they're getting paid. Worse speakers than you, in fact, are getting paid more than you every single day. It boggles the mind to think about it that way. So if it's not just being a good speaker, what is it? Well, I've spent my entire adult life, really since 2012, in a very dedicated, focused way, investing in answering that question. So trying to unpack and tease out what is it that gets some speakers booked and paid while other speakers are not booked and paid. Now, beyond all of the mindset stuff that goes into implementing these things, all right, putting that to the side for a moment, these are the 7 factors. These are the 7 factors, and then we're going to get into our specific marketing strategy that I want to unpack for you today. So number one, the first factor is packaging. We've got to be able to package up our message in such a way where it's clear, it's concise, and it's compelling, and it's something that the corporate marketplace wants. Now, for those uninitiated in the Get Speaking Gigs world, my area of expertise is narrow and slim. I focus on helping people, and myself included, get paid to speak on corporate stages. High fee keynotes, that's the tip of the iceberg. Then we go into the back end products and services, workshops, trainings, writing books, doing coaching. All of that stuff can come from doing those high fee keynotes and being positioned as a thought leader in the space. So to do that, to be positioned, you've got to say, hey, look, this is what I do. This is who it's for. This is why it matters. This is my message. This is how I speak about what I speak about. That message packaging process is critical. In fact, you'll notice it is the center of the entire slide today. So packaging comes in two forms. Number one, you got to package the message that you bring to the audiences, and it has to be something that is equivalent to bringing hamburgers to hungry people. You cannot offer someone something they don't want. It is an uphill battle. It is not only an uphill battle, it's like trying to run up a hill. It's not only trying to run up the hill, it's like the hill was made of butter and you're trying to run up this hill. It is not an easy climb and you're trying to push a boulder at the same time. It ain't easy, right? So if you're bringing hamburgers to hungry people, if you got a well-packaged message that you know and have the full confidence that this is something people want and need, then guess what? They're going to have budgets for it. If there is a problem that you solve, then you are bringing value. Guess what? People exchange money for value. So if you're not solving problems, and in fact, if you're not clear about how your message is solving problems and what problems they're solving, what are we doing here, right? So that's number one, packaging your message. But guess what else? You've got to package the messenger as well. We call that positioning. And again, if you're positioned as a corporate keynote speaker, a lot of those other gigs can come. You can do your associations and your nonprofits and your religious institutions and your government groups and your education space. I mean, there's a whole bunch, small to medium enterprises. There's really 7 markets that'll pay speakers. But if you are positioned and packaged as a corporate speaker, that's kind of like the major leagues, and all the other business can stem from there. So once you've got a message that is well packaged, what else do we need? Well, we need marketing. We need to be able to shout that message from the rooftops. That's what we're going to talk about in today's session, is one specific marketing strategy. But once again, without these 7 dials, right? Without this entire speaking business on a slide working together, the marketing will not work. You'll get attention on what you're doing, and then people will say, swipe next. Not what we're looking for. So once again, all of these pieces work together. You've got to have business systems so that you know nothing falls through the cracks. Once the marketing works and people say, I'm interested, you cannot lose that opportunity. You must have systems in place to turn that lead into a sale and then turn that gig into more gigs. So we have our inquiry to income process. Again, members, you are having access to that whole 5-step system to guarantee that you have the best chance of securing that gig. And that's going to be a big part of today's marketing as well, because not only are you going to get the lead, there's going to be a lot of other speakers who are going to have access to those leads. And there's going to be a little bit of healthy competition here. So the business systems are some of the tools that will separate you from the pack. And obviously, of course, having a packaged message is a big part of that as well. So next, program development. Now you got to deliver the speech, right? Now you got to develop an amazing program. Again, having a great program and being a great speaker don't always go hand in hand. There can be a bad speaker delivering an amazing message. And in fact, Chris Anderson, the TED guy, says that he prefers that. He prefers great content over great delivery, but both are important. And you've got to be able to deliver on the promises that your marketing made. And if you get that gig, hey, you know what? If they're giving you 20 grand for the gig, you might as well deliver 30 grand or 40 grand worth of value. And that is program development. And of course, speaking skill is a part of that. I don't want to say it's unimportant or you don't have to be a good speaker. Not at all. I highly, highly recommend that you become a great speaker. But guess what? Best way to become a great speaker is to speak a ton. Guess how you speak a ton? Marketing business systems, and of course, program development. A great program almost kind of delivers itself. If it's a well-planned program, it just sort of flows in the speaking delivery as well. We're going to pick up the pace a little bit here. We're going to talk about the next piece of the puzzle, which is perceived credibility. Now, people aren't just hiring speakers. They're hiring experts who speak, subject matter experts. And what we need to do as speakers is to say, hey, I can do this event for you. I can do this job for you. I can speak on this stage for you. And we've got to be able to communicate that. This part of the process here is what makes them believe you. So again, trust is a huge piece of this transaction, not just because it's high dollar amounts, but also because they're trusting you with their people. I promise you, there is a lot of pressure placed on speaker selection and speaker selection committees. Jobs in some cases are at stake. Events are important. Sometimes they only do one a year. So again, having the credibility, and that could come in many, many different forms. And that could be, just everything from your website to your demo video, to your photos, to your Zoom setup. How do you appear on Zoom? There's a lot of Zoom meetings happening leading up to the gig. So the perceived credibility from, again, certifications and degrees and books that you've written, all of that can either be built or positioned. And remember, that word is critical. I didn't say credibility. I said perceived credibility. I had a gig come to me once and say, hey, we want to book you. I said, I can't. I'm unavailable, but I will recommend someone for you. I will refer one of my speaker friends to you. And he said, that would be great. Just don't send any of those Harvard business grads our way. What? Why not? Harvard business grads, you'd be lucky to have a Harvard business grad. But to them, it wasn't credibility, the kind of credibility that they wanted. So remember, perceived credibility is essential. So if you don't feel like you have anything to bring to the table, or if you're suffering from imposter syndrome, or if you're asking yourself, who would listen to me? I promise there's ways to take the pieces that you have on the chessboard and put them in the right positions. And when you do that, even a pawn might take down a king or a queen. And those are some of the secrets to this idea called perceived credibility. So that is a factor. Remember, if they don't believe your marketing, if they don't believe that you can deliver these programs, if they haven't seen your speaking, they have to know what you do and believe that you can do it. And the final thing is personal branding. A lot of people conflate these two. So I'm going to give you just a couple of quick examples of what perceived credibility might be and personal branding might be. In fact, I think perceived credibility comes from things like your story, whether or not you have been able to demonstrate expertise via being seen speaking or by creating content, whether you have testimonials, your bio, your relevant resume, if you've been in the media or publications, won awards, gotten degrees or certifications, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you're famous, right, all of that goes into credibility. Whereas personal branding is, and I kind of did the same thing, I conflated them myself, things like your professional email and your signature file, your introduction before you even speak, how you look and appear on stage, whether you wear a ball cap and a t-shirt or whether you wear a suit. Now, those all say things about you and your style and your personality, but also your branding. What's your headshot look like? What are your speaking photos? Again, what's your Zoom setup, your demo video, your website, whether you have a agent, on and on and on it goes. So that is the 7 dials that every speaker must turn. And when you turn those dials and get those dialed in, again, you get the business. If you get all of these right and you kind of do a self-evaluation, say, how good is my marketing? How good is my packaging? How would I rate my business systems? Do I do the same things in the same ways? Or do I have to recreate and reinvent the wheel every single time? We've got our inquiry to income system. We've got our gig avalanche system. These are checklists. These are like ready to go. No thinking required. It's like a recipe. And I'm not a baker, but if you gave me a recipe for cookies, boom, I could bake those cookies. They may not be perfect, right? I'm not going to compete with maybe Teresa Gittimer's cookies, but at the end of the day, again, if I can bake cookies by following a recipe, that's what business systems allows you to do. So you don't have to think every single time you do something, every time you send an email, every time you craft a pitch. So business systems are huge. We even like in our process, we say it's like Toll House cookies. You scoop and you bake. That's the kind of business systems I love. So all of these dials work together to make today's system work. Marketing by itself will not work if you don't have, once again, the right packaging. You could shout the world's worst message from the rooftops, and no matter how many people you reach, no matter how many leads you get, if it's the wrong message, or it's perceived as the wrong message, or as people think, yeah, we need that, but we don't want that, right? That's not, yeah, we probably should. Yeah, but I don't want to. I probably should cut sugar out of my diet, but not ready to do that. I'm not ready to go sugar free. Seems like a bit much. Need it, don't want it. Again, packaging is a huge, huge, huge piece of all of this. So let's dive into our curriculum today. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my my outline and my notes, and we're going to dive right into today's strategy, which again is called the Bobber method. So for those of you taking notes, maybe you've got a copy of the Get Speaking Gigs book. Once again, the Bobber method, we're going to go a little bit deeper today. So the basic plan and the basic process is this. Be found where people are finding speakers. Be found where people are finding speakers. Why would you go through all of the trouble of building a huge fancy pants website, putting a bunch of money into it, then trying to optimize it for search engines, trying to build partnerships and drive traffic to that, maybe run paid ads and dump just a ton of time and energy and effort just to get to the top of the search engine, when the people who are already, the companies who are already at the top of the search engine will allow you to piggyback off of that. They'll say, hey, come on, we'll list you on our site, right? So the idea behind the Bobber method is to leverage listing sites. And we're going to do it in two different ways. We're going to do it just like we do everything in the Get Speaking Gigs world. And that is different than the average speaker, right? So consider this, how successful speakers do listing sites differently. And so with that in mind, we're going to talk about some of the listing sites that we like. We're going to talk about what the process looks like, how it works, and ultimately how to be proactive in such a way where we can make sure we gather and collect the business that is right there and waiting for us. That's why I call it easy and fast path to booking paid gigs. You don't have to build a train and lay down track and clear the land and hire labor and invest in materials and design engines and put it all together. Look, just buy a ticket. Just skip the line, buy a ticket. In fact, that's the entire philosophy behind what I'm taking this group through. The idea of a 90-day gig getting boot camp. Once again, for context, those who are in the program know you're right about at the halfway point, right? We've done a lot of work packaging up your message. We've looked at these 7 dials, and whether you know it or not, we are teaching and implementing and building these 7 dials in exactly the right order at exactly the right time in an accelerated process, so that we don't have to wait 3 to 5 years to have success as a professional speaker. And that's what speakers at the NSA will tell you. That's kind of the common wisdom around, is it just takes time and you got to pay your dues. And you know what? You got to start small and you got to work your way up. And that process takes about 3 to 5 years to plant the seeds and watch them grow. Yeah, it takes 3 to 5 years if you don't know what you're doing, right? There is a process. There are steps. But why do we need to wait? Or why do we need to go slowly? And the reason most speakers go slowly is because there's uncertainty. They don't know which step to take. But if you know the path and you know the plan, just run through the steps, obviously at your own pace. But ultimately, that's how we get speakers through this process in, 4 to 16 weeks, not 3 to 5 years, which again, that number blows my mind. Love what's going on in the chat. Thanks so much for participating. We're going to continue on through this process. I'm going to share with you specific examples and scripts and templates that you may be able to use and leverage as well. So first and foremost, I'm going to go ahead and put into the chat 2 links for the 2 listing sites that I really like, particularly for newer and emerging speakers. Maybe you're not quite at the $15,000, $20,000 level just yet. But again, you can compete very, very strongly at $5,000 or even $10,000. These are the listing sites we really, really like. In fact, they're specifically designed again for newer and emerging speakers. So the first one I'm going to go ahead and put into the chat is a website called Speaker Match. So there is a link to join Speaker Match. There is a link for you, and there's a reason that I'm sharing Speaker Match today as well. There is 2 days left. They're running a deal right now where you get a bunch of money off, particularly the best value. And what we take our speakers through when we launch speakers, what we do for them is the silver package, right? So it's the lowest, most affordable package. But if you get the annual plan, then you not only get a Speaker Match listing and membership, and we'll talk about why that's important, but you'll also get an eSpeakers.com membership. So if you're the type of speaker that's like, gosh, I don't have a website yet. Who's going to believe me? How do I get credibility? Well, these are ready-made websites. These listings are ready-made websites. This is how I booked myself for the first 9 years. I did not have a website for 9 years in my speaking business. I didn't have a website. I had listing sites, and I directed clients and prospects to listing sites, and they were professional and they looked great, and they had testimonials and reviews and demo videos and all the little bells and whistles that I would have had on my website. But this was just what was working for me. And my philosophy in business is very, very simple. Run towards the goal that is clear in your mind. When you hit a brick wall, when you hit a hurdle, jump over it. When you find an obstacle, go around it. When you hit a brick wall, then it's time to say, well, I need a fix here. So I never hit a brick wall. I never said, no clients ever said to me, gosh, Tim, everything looks really great. And we saw you speak last week, and we came across your listing website, and we shared it with the speaker selection committee. Everything looks awesome, but we just can't book you. Yeah, you don't have a website. We just can't do it. Right? Never happened. Right? I was doing 6 figures without a website. It is absolutely possible. Don't get hung up on what a lot of people tell you. Right? If you kind of take the average, the advice that the average person is giving, you're going to get the average results. Don't get me started. So once again, the link, there it is. Evie says she got it. And Speaker Match is running this deal. You'll see the regular price, I believe, is $325 for the year for the silver message, for the silver package. And then there's a discounted version for $260. What a deal, because it includes eSpeakers. Now, obviously, that is an affiliate link that I put in there. That is part of the reason I was able to open up this to the larger Get Speaking Gigs family. But this is something I wanted to share with you, and not just say, hey, go get this thing. I want to share with you how to use it and how to get the most value out of it. So that's part of the reason that we opened this up through the group. If you are familiar with Speaker Match and you already have a membership, stick around, because we're going to talk a specific strategy of how we're able to book one of our speakers, and we'll share the exact scripts and templates and everything like that. 130 for annual. Is it true, Porter Bedroll? That must be Mark Corona. Is it true? Well, hey, jump on that. As long as you get, once again, the annual membership, I do believe. Maybe there's a 6-month version for that, because $260 is for annual. That's how you get the eSpeakers for free. And eSpeakers is a really solid listing site. It's great for networking, and it's great for the digital presenter certification, which obviously since 2020 and COVID is a big part of the speaking business. About 35% of presentations are digital and virtual now. So 65 still in person, right? So those people who think, oh, COVID, the digital revolution is taking over. No, you can still get in front of audiences, and that is still the majority. Oh, hello, Neelam. Welcome. Glad to see you in the room as well. There it is. Yes, Mark Corona, LOL. Love your work and what you're up to. Just spoke at NATO, man, all kinds of cool results from you, and excited to see the future of even more. So that is number 1, Speaker Match. We're going to come back to how to fully leverage Speaker Match, but I do want to share with you one more in particular. I'll give you one more affiliate link, then I'll give you one more sort of general link. If you want to veto and bypass the affiliate links for whatever reason, that is fine as well. Here is the next one. It is called The Bash. This used to be gigmasters.com, but The Bash, and the link is coming through. There it is. It's on Facebook. There it is. It's on YouTube. And once again, just check the comments below. And maybe what we'll even do is put these in the descriptions. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we do end up with a replay. But I do not see an automated recording. And I don't know. There's nothing going on with recording. We'll see. May have to run this again. But those of you who are here are taking advantage of it. Tell your friends. All right. So there it is. Thanks. I used the bash. Yes. In fact, today, the bash is the one that I received the lead from. And I'll tell you a little bit about how I was able to get that into a discovery call. But once again, the first step in this process is be listed on these sites. The second step is how do we maximize the listing? How do we leverage the listing? And how do we leverage the job boards? Because it is not just about getting a profile and saying, hey, here I am, find me, look at my great program, hire me. People aren't just scrubbing the internet file, looking through speakers' listings. I mean, very, very, very rarely will I get an inquiry based on just some profile listing somewhere. The reason I had success with profile listings is because I was proactive. I actually leveraged the job boards. I actually drove people to the listings. I didn't just sit and wait for them to find me. So that is a big part of the strategy. That is a big part of what we're going to be chatting about. And then finally, the last thing I want to share with you is a website called Gig Salad. And this is an easy one, people. It is simply, and let's get that an actual link here for you and make it a little easier for you to click on. As long as I type 3 W's and a dot, gigsalad.com is another option. Now, some of you are looking at this investment saying, gosh, we got a couple $100 for Gig Salad. We got a couple $100 for the bash. Oh, don't join them yet. We have discount codes. We have discount codes, people. We have discount codes. So the discount code, and I don't know fully if this is going to work. They may already have taken the discount code off of Speaker Match, but the discount code that was given to me just to say, hey, look, this is Brian, the founder of Speaker Match, saying, look, this is for your people. Share this discount code for your people. So anybody in this room, please do not share it outside of this room. But the discount code that I was given for Speaker Match. So let's make sure that this is clear. Speaker Match discount code. We also have a bash discount code. Speaker Match discount code. If you're watching, on a replay, if you're catching this on the replay, and the discount has expired because July 31st is the last day for their midsummer discount for Speaker Match, I believe, then this discount code will work. Maybe they'll both work together. Give it a try, right? But again, Pub90 is the discount code that I was given to share with the Get Speaking Gigs family. The next discount code is from the Bash, and this is for 40% off of the featured listing. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to repost the link to the Bash. First and foremost, there's Speaker Match again. Bingo. And Facebook. Facebook, please. There you go. This is the Bash link and the discount code. Also expiring in 2 days, right? This is why we bumped this method up to this part of the process. Honestly, it's a really good time to be doing the Bobber method. It's a good time of year. It's a good time to get in and take advantage of a lot of these discounts. So there it is. Join the Bash with the discount code 24 Midsummer 40. 24 Midsummer 40. Right? So 2024 is the year, Midsummer is the code, 40 is the percentage that you get off. So if that is not showing up in the chat, then that is that. The Speaker Match, if it's not showing up in the chat, is Pub90. Pub90. P-U-B 90. All right. Hopefully that is helpful for you. Hopefully that has saved you some dollars and maybe even put some dollars in your pocket in the future when you start booking engagements from this, because you've got a well-packaged message. You just need a place to shout it from the rooftops. Maybe you don't fully know how to break into the speaking industry. Maybe you don't have your niche. Maybe again, this is something that will work for a lot of different niches. And in fact, as you're creating your profile, you can select and choose which you will be listed as. Richard asks, what's the biggest difference between the two sites? Really, honestly, they are both listing sites, and they both have proactive means of connecting with leads. The difference with Speaker Match is you see the job, you see the client, you see the event information, and you can decide whether to reach out. The Bash will connect you. They'll do that work for you and connect you with specifically targeted leads. So you're going to have a little bit less competition on the Bash because not anybody and everybody can submit. You're going to have a little bit more opportunity on Speaker Match. In addition, Speaker Match gives you the eSpeakers membership as well. So it really is a twofer. And ideally, the and again, I thank you for clarifying that question as well. Speaker Match does say invalid code, so it looks like you can only use them one or the other. So if you're on the replay and the current discount has expired, you can extend that a little bit, and Pub90 should work with the for replay viewers beyond this beyond July 31st when that expires. All right, so good to know. Thank you so much for clarifying. So in terms of outcome, Richard, the difference between the two, once again, it really depends less on the site and more on the speaker and what the speaker does proactively to extract the value. So the Speaker Match outcomes that we've had are comparable to the Bash outcomes that we've had. Speaker Match is positioned as something that's for new and emerging speakers. Speaker Match, in fact, on their website says no clowns, no DJs, no nothing, just speakers, baby. So there is a little bit more focus on the speaking industry, which is good for us speakers. And so the Bash, you're kind of mixed in with a lot of other stuff going on. But the Bash, Gig Salad, Speaker Match, again, and there's a bunch of other listing sites that we just left out of this training, right? So if you've got a specific one that you want to reach out and say, hey, what about this one? Maybe we can have a conversation about that. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, the results are, Speaker Match is typically catered more towards definitely speakers, but a little bit towards newer and emerging speakers. So if you are looking to get booked often, if you want to do free stuff, Speaker Match is perfect. You can just boom, 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 and do a ton of free gigs and find high leverage opportunities. And obviously you wouldn't want to do that if you don't have the full dial working for you. If you don't have the business systems that are going to convert those free gigs into paid gigs. If you're experiencing the phenomenon where the only thing a free gig is getting you is another free gig, or maybe a free chicken sandwich, maybe they're paying you in lasagna, right? If that's the experience that you're having with free gigs, not being able to leverage those, then that's a major hole in your business systems. And we need to have a conversation about maybe implementing the Gig Avalanche system to turn those free gigs, not just into more free gigs. They're not just going to come and say, oh, we come and speak for our event. We'll give you lots of exposure. And then you're thinking, yeah, but people die from exposure. Not interested in that. No. How can we proactively get vertical growth and not lateral growth, right? We get more gigs, better gigs, higher paying gigs from every single opportunity. And when you crack the code for that, man, oh man, my goodness, it's off to the races. So can you explain Bobber method again, please? Yes. So the method I'm teaching right now is getting listed on listing sites and proactively approaching speaking opportunities. It's almost like throwing your fishing line into a lake full of fish already. There's already fish here. We're not going fishing where there are no fish. We're finding where the fish are going. These websites, especially Speaker Match, phenomenal with search engine optimization, phenomenal with gathering fish and stocking the pond. We throw our line in. When we get a bite, our job is to reel it in, right? We're going to talk about both of those processes, getting your line in the water and then making sure we proactively reel them in. That is the crux. That is the detail. That is, or I should say, the overarching approach in the Bobber method. So exposure illegal in most states. Yes, Dean. Thank you. I have a website, so I'm thinking more to try the Bash. Yeah, honestly, we have a phrase here. We have a phrase. We used to say massive action is the cure for failure. We've changed it. We now say massive action is the vaccine for failure because we don't want to wait for failure to show up so that we have to cure it. We want to prevent the failure. So massive action is the vaccine for failure. So if you're on the fence, should I do this one? Should I do this one? Should I do Gig Salad? ask yourself, what if I did all of them? What if I took massive action here? Obviously, you don't want to take the mortgage out of your bank account. You don't want to take food off of your table. But if it's possible, if it's going to maybe stretch you a little bit, think in terms of massive action is the vaccine for failure. And as we take people through this 90-day gig getting boot camp that we're taking them through, this is one of our mantras. This is one of our mindsets. It's not a go big or go home. It's just a, hey, if this has to work, if this is something you really want to do, if you've got a message inside you that's really got to get out, if you've got bills you really got to pay, then these again are kind of the best practices, the sites that are sort of the cream of the crop, the ones we've had the most success with. Are they alone in and of themselves, by themselves, even altogether, going to create a robust $1 million speaking business for you? Likely no. But again, this is a quiver in an arrow in your quiver. It is a tool in your toolbox. It is a way to create marketing movement, or as we call in the 90-day gig getting bootcamp, momentum. Because once we land some of these gigs, we know how to turn them into more gigs. So we are just looking for opportunities to create that first momentum. All right. So that is, we got to start getting to some more tactics and practical applications. We have so far only covered Roman numeral number 1. We did the introduction. We talked about the 7 dials that a speaking business is made of. And that's all you can do. Those are the only dials you can turn as the speaker, as the owner of your own speaking business. If you turn those dials, the results that you get will be dependent on those dials. I can't think of anything else, any other factors. And again, I've been obsessing over this since 2012 and having a front row seat, watching speakers succeed or fail, and having a front row seat as they go through this process. I've worked with hundreds, maybe even thousands of speakers now since 2012. And, again, this is a big part of, seeing what works and what doesn't work. These 7 dials are the factors. So that was a big value add, right? A little nice surprise for y'all who came today. And obviously we also went into Roman numeral number 1, which is get listed on the listing sites. We talked about Speaker Match, gave you a discount code, PUB90, which doesn't work yet because they're running a current discount. Get the annual plan, get the lowest one there. Sorry, Brian, for recommending the lowest one. Thebash.com 24 Midsummer 40 will get you 40% off a featured listing, which brings more leads than just a regular listing, as you can imagine. Gigsalad.com, no discount codes, no special affiliate links there. Just, again, a recommendation from me to you. And then, of course, espeakers.com, which will come with automatically when you get Speaker Match, an annual plan with Speaker Match, you get eSpeakers. All right, so and then we covered expectations. If you just have a profile versus being proactive, the Bobber method is both. You got to get your line in the water, you got to get a bite, and then you got to reel that baby in. So let's do it. First of all, how do you decide which gigs to bid on? When you log into Speaker Match, you're going to see a lot of gigs, a lot of opportunities. How do you pick? The answer is not, I'll just submit to them all. The more the merrier. Not really, right? Because there's some diminishing returns with your time. Your time is valuable. So if you're out there all day, every day doing, filling out calls for speakers and just really pitching yourself, it's going to be educational, I suppose, but I don't know how necessarily valuable it'll be if you just reach out to all of them. Here's why. Number 1, it is impossible for you to be a good fit for all of them. It's just not going to happen. There are going to be some who are looking for only men. There are going to be some for only women. There are going to be some who are looking at preferred non-binary. There are going to be people who are looking for experts in this topic or experts in that topic, young, old. I promise you are not a fit for all of them. And if you claim to be a fit, you're not going to get that gig and you're going to lose credibility in the marketplace. Yes, people do talk, and it is important to have that honesty and integrity. And you know what? It's not about selling yourself and trying to really pitch yourself and no, it's about saying, oh, I'd be perfect for that group. Let me just tell them that I'm perfect for that group. Let me just kind of share that with them, right? You have a problem that I can absolutely help with. Let me offer help. So that's kind of the mindset and the philosophy. But here's the other reason why. Your pitches, the quality of the results that you get are going to be dependent upon the quality of the pitches that you submit. So if you're just batching and blasting and going for quantity, your quality will suffer. And quality is the key. So I would rather you send 10 very targeted, carefully thought out proposals and pitches and contacts than 100 or 1,000 that are just quantity, batch and blast, cut and paste, use AI to pitch, to create a pitch and blast it. Like, quantity is not going to win this. There's one drawback to the bobber method, and that is we cast our line into a pond where there are many other lines cast into that same pond. So if we're ever going to have a chance to compete, then we've really only got a few ways to do that. Okay, a few ways to compete. So I want to talk about how to compete in a moment. I'll give you the three C's of how any speaker can compete. But deciding on which gigs you want to speak at and which ones you do not is kind of a skill in and of itself. In the book, we have it's my holding up my plant right now. But in the book, we actually have a chart that I use to decide which gigs I'm going to submit for, which gigs I'm not. And as you can see, it's somewhat complicated. I don't care if you use my chart. I want you to use your own chart and decide carefully about whether or not you want to speak at an event. So the very, 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 very first question is, can you deliver value? If the answer to that is no, then you say no to the inquiry. You do not submit to that gig. Can you deliver value is always your first question for any of these opportunities. Could I rock that stage? Could I knock that out of the park? Would they be so overjoyed if they hired me over any and all other speakers in the marketplace? If the answer is yes, then you could submit. If it's no, then you don't. And on and on and on and down the list we go. Some other factors are, is it close to my house? Is it in my industry? Once again, more is not better. Better is better. So let's now talk, once we've decided which ones we want to submit to, let's talk about how to do that and give you a couple of examples of winning pitches. Now, Speaker Match is really good about sharing best practices. They've booked thousands of gigs throughout the years, and they say, hey, look, they interview everybody who booked through them, and they say, what made you choose this speaker? So you get a really good information training on how to do this right in Speaker Match. So that's definitely a resource worth checking out. You'll see in Speaker Match that they do have a resource section. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share with you the 3 C's of how anybody can compete. If there's a lot of bobbers in the pond, how do you stand out? How do you compete? Number 1, you can compete on clarity. Once again, that's why I say there's 7 factors. Marketing isn't the only one. If you don't have a clear message, I don't care how good your marketing, I don't care how expensive your listing page is. I don't care if you get the Uber premium level. I don't care if you call the president and say, set me up, hook me up. Look, it doesn't matter if it's not clear, right? So clarity is going to get you ahead of half the speakers like that. If you have a clear, concise, compelling message, then you immediately put yourself ahead of half of the speakers competing on these websites. So the other way that we can compete is consistency. And this is where we talk about being proactive and not just throwing out a pitch and then sitting back and waiting and twiddling our thumbs and stroking our mustaches and saying, oh, they'll find me. They'll come to me when they're ready. No, we're going to be consistent. We're going to follow up like we actually care about the success of their event, like we actually want to make sure they don't have to settle for second best because we know we are the perfect fit for that event. We just have to let them know. Okay. Consistency is the other way that we can compete. Other people too will just join these sites. They'll see one gig, they'll submit one gig and they'll be like, it doesn't work. I'm out of here. And then they drop the whole thing. Right. So again, being clear and being consistent, that's going to put you ahead of 75% of the speakers out there. Already 3 out of 4, they're not willing to do that. Are you? Right. And that's one of the major differentiating factors. The third C that any speaker can use and leverage to compete in a very noisy marketplace is the C of caring. Yep, you can out-care the competition. Here's what I mean by that. I don't just mean being heart-centered and ooey-gooey on the inside and feeling all the feels every pitch you send. I don't just mean using all kinds of emojis. I mean, like, taking the time, researching their website, reading their dang proposal offer, their event listing, like reading it, incorporating what they say into your message, like customizing, like care enough, use their name. Oh my gosh, care enough to follow up, care enough to reach out, care enough to go off platform and create a human connection with that person and say, I want your event to succeed, whether or not you pick me. And having that mindset is out caring the competition. If you are more clear, more consistent, and more caring, that puts you in front of 95, 98% of the speakers who are unable or unwilling to do any of those things. And any of you who have tried to clarify your message, you know how not easy it is. You know how challenging it is. We take speakers through, it's almost a month. We dive deep. We don't mess around. We know that the process of packaging a message is make or break for the success of a speaker. You could send out 5,000 pitches. If there's no clarity, if there's no clear communication of what you do, who it's for, why it matters, why it's interesting, why it would fit into where their budgets are and what they expect, but stand out from all the other speakers. If you don't have any of that, again, you're dead in the water. This is make or break stuff. So you know how hard it is to do that. You know that if you do it and do it well, you're automatically ahead of a lot of other speakers who don't know how to do it, because we know the world is noisy. If you jump on Google and try to learn about the speaking business, you're going to get pulled in a million different directions. So if you can be more clear, if you can be more consistent, and if you can out care, then that's how you win in this space. So I'm going to give you an example of that. Here is one of our clients. Her name is Tova. And Tova, I hope she's okay with us sending this and sharing this. In fact, I'm sure she is. I'm going to share with you a pitch on Speaker Match. So she found, or rather we found for her an event that would be a good fit for her. And we put together this pitch. And the pitch is, excuse me, there we go. The pitch is, let's make that a little bit bigger, and let's do it that way. The pitch is broken up into two parts on Speaker Match. There is a teaser headline and there is a full application. Now, here is the headline that we picked, the teaser headline that I wrote for Tova. We'll read this and we'll kind of break it down. Local ukulele playing psychologist and author explains the science of believing in others and how a few simple shifts in what you believe about someone can help you get the best results from them. Automatically, we're grabbing attention by saying local ukulele playing psychologist and author. I promise there is something interesting about you. I promise you are a unique individual. I promise there is something that we can take and leverage. Maybe it's a pawn on the chessboard. We just got to put it in the right position. Okay. Local ukulele playing psychologist and author explains the science of believing in others. So there's credibility. She's a psychologist. There's intrigue. She's ukulele playing. More credibility, author. And what does she do? She explains the science of believing in others. Why does it matter? Well, a few simple shifts in what you believe about someone can help you get the best results from them. So that's a little bit general. We're going to go a little more specific based on the event listing. Associates who are believed in. Now, this would say employees if it was for employees. This is for somebody who specifically wants to bring in a program for their associate. So we use the terms that they use. It's not rocket surgery. You don't have to invent new words or new language. Just use what they use. But you got to read it first. Associates who are believed in originate more business, clients, prospective clients, and even juries, right? Originate more business, clients, prospective clients, and even juries who are believed in produce better outcomes. Okay, so once again, these are just targeted outcomes that they say they wanted. And coworkers who are believed in cause fewer interpersonal problems. It's the closest thing to real magic that psychology has discovered, and it's the perfect workshop for what? For what you've described in your post. If you take nothing else away from this, I would recommend that phrase. Hey, this is perfect for what you described in your post. Like, that's the easiest, simplest way to create customization, at least perceived customization in the mind of the reader. Hey, it's perfect for what you described. And then the full application, of course, goes into details. Now, anybody who is in our programs, we know the importance of communicating what your program is about, what the description is, and you can see a lot of those language assets that we've created in our message packaging portion of our course. are showing up here, and they will show up over and over and over again because of that clarity and consistency. So we're not going to go through this line by line, but you can see estate planning is a complex process that can involve a lot of individuals and personalities. Why does that matter? Because it's an estate planning group, right? So again, we're customizing, we're making sure that we read. Now, here's a technique that I want to share with you that you can use to book gigs on your very, very, very first try. This is one of our more successful strategies, and I'm super excited about it. Here we go. Hi, Paul. I'm Tim, and I work for Dr. Tova Rubin. I came across your event, and even though we've never used Speaker Match before, I had to sign her up just to reach out to you. Now, why is that powerful, and why is that important? Well, many of you are going to be signing up, maybe even today or tomorrow, because that's when the discount expires. You're going to only have one chance to use this authentically and honestly, and I recommend it is authentic and honest. When I say we've never used Speaker Match before, I mean Tova and I never used Speaker Match before, which is true. We had to sign her up just to reach out to her. We did. I have other Speaker Match accounts. I found Paul's listing. I'm like, Tova would be perfect for this. Created the account just for him. Turns out this worked really, really well because what does he see? He sees customization. He sees personalization. He sees an opportunity. And it also creates a believable story of why Tova's profile stinks. Why there's blanks everywhere. Why maybe she doesn't have the greatest testimonials and the greatest reviews and the greatest ratings on that site like other speakers might because they're established. No, this is, look, I saw this. She's perfect. I saw this. I had to reach out. I had to sign up just to reach out to you. So it almost creates even a little bit of reciprocity where it feels like they almost owe you something because you spent money or invested time or energy just to reach out to them. And again, this is one strategy that you can use one time when your first listing and your first pitch goes out. So you can see right here, I know she doesn't show up as her best self here yet on Speaker Match due to her complete lack of a profile on a brand new account. So we'll talk about that in a moment. In fact, that's another one of our strategies. Most people want to put their best foot forward here, and I recommend that you do. Part of putting your best foot forward on these sites is to put your human foot forward. To create a human connection, one of the strongest ways to do that is to admit weaknesses and flaws first. Before they discover them about you, if you say them and bring them to the table, it does two things. Number one, it makes them believe that you are honest and open and authentic and genuine. And it's just more, everything else becomes more believable if you're willing to admit a weakness. The weakness might be, I know I'm not the cheapest speaker on this page. Look, I know it's going to cost a little bit more to bring me in to your event, right? Admitting the weakness yourself rather than them discovering it is so much more powerful in a positioning standpoint. Number two, they're going to think that your list of weaknesses that you've given them is complete, right? It's exhaustive. Hey, this is the problem. These are the benefits. Everything's on the table. Make your choice. And they're not going to go digging and looking for weaknesses. They're not going to say, this looks too good to be true. We got to find the catch. No, they see the catch. You told them the catch. Here it is. I'm more expensive. Here it is. I'm brand new here. Here it is. I don't have 47 Fortune 100 clients from your state and in your industry, right? But I think, again, this is still going to be a fit for this reason and that reason. So admitting the weakness is a great strategy. Now, I want you to notice something. I shared with you an example. Does it look like I used a template? Does it look like I copied and pasted and then edited a few words? No. Over time, after using templates, I learned that, templates obviously are only as good as the template, but I learned that we do our best work when we're talking human to human. And so when we research Paul, when we research his website, when we research his company, when we research his listing, we get a sense for what we need to say, right? It's like, oh, they want this. Oh, okay. I'll tell them that these are the things that I do that are in alignment with what he wants. These are the things that do not. So I admitted another weakness with Dr. Rubin. I said, Dr. Rubin's techniques do not directly address etiquette considerations, which is one of the topics he wanted. He listed a bunch of topics. We want something on this, 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 and this. They don't directly address etiquette, but they are scientifically proven to help reduce the stressful situations and improve presentability, which indirectly addresses etiquette. So again, you're admitting weaknesses, but you're also bringing in the corresponding strength of you and your message and your program. So, love the talk teaser. Want to hear that talk? It says Neelam about Tova, indeed. And again, I know you've had some experience meeting Tova and just how delightful she is. All right, so I'm going to rattle through a couple of the other best practices that I wanted to make sure I shared with you. I do see we are about at a 5-minute warning according to the original goal of what we were looking to do. Here's what I want to share with anybody who does have to run. Look, I would love to have a conversation with you if your hope is to get booked on more stages and get more paid. Right? More paid bookings. That is what I eat, sleep, and breathe all day, every day. Would love to have a conversation with you. In fact, I'm going to pop a link into the chat. I've opened up my calendar for the next 8 days, right? And you'll see when you click on this link, it's open for the next 8 days. The next few days are pretty packed, but I'd love to have a conversation with you one-on-one just to talk through the 7 dials, see where you're at on each one, see where your biggest area of improvement could be made. And then I want to put into your hands maybe a tool or a resource that can help you do that. Whether or not we end up working together in one of our programs, again, I want to make sure that that's a valuable call for you. So if getting more speaking gigs and getting more paid, particularly in the corporate market, if you want to do high school gigs, you know what? You want to do high school gigs? I have a better opportunity for you. Hey, Jason, what's up, man? If you want to do high school gigs, here it is. Youth Speaker University. There's a free training. By all means, I'm not your guy. That's Josh Shipp. He's your guy. So on and on we go. Again, if there's something that I think corporate will be a fit for, we'll talk through how we might be able to package you as a corporate speaker. I think if you can help people, then you can help corporations, because corporations are just made of people. So let's hop on a call and let's explore how we might be able to improve your chances of getting more booked and more paid in the corporate speaking industry. All right, so let's rattle through these best practices here. Number 1, we talked about the trying the I'm new here specifically for you tactic. We talked about customizing as much as we can, as often as we can, as early as we can. If you say to whom it may concern, for the love of God, you deserve a slap across your little face. We're not saying to whom it may concern. We're going to use people's names, right? Because we have people's names. We're going to use it. Just be a human being and show that you've actually you put a little bit of effort. How can you expect them to throw thousands upon thousands of dollars at you if you are not even demonstrating that you're going to put in a little bit of effort up front? Okay. That's why reduce quantity, increase quality when it comes to these pitches. Now, I did say massive action is the vaccine for failure. So we always say the massive action is not what breaks you, it's what stretches you. Okay. So we don't want to be waking up at 2:00 in the morning and sending out 5,000 emails by noon, and then we can start our day. Like, listen, it's not about booking a bunch of gigs and making a bunch of money. That's not the only thing that matters in life. What matters is building a business that you get to run and gives you freedom. It doesn't run you, right? So again, we only focus on high leverage activities and taking the time. I only work on my speaking business 2 hours a week. Like, that's it. Yes, I have a team. Yes, I have systems in place. Yes, I have a lot of incoming inquiries, but 2 hours a week. I mean, that, gosh, on average across, I mean, that includes some of my gigs. I'm only doing 8 to 10 new clients per month. Listen, we don't have to work our knuckles to the bone. When you do things the right way, in the right order, and position yourself in the right ways, design a business that serves you and your life so that you can serve others. Design a business that you get to run and enjoy, and stop doing the things you hate doing and do more of what you love doing. So this is not a massive action is the cure for failure. So dive deep into hustle culture and call up Gary Vee and Alex Hormozi and Grant Cardone and let them tell you how much you have to hustle. No, this is the second highest paid activity on earth, right? Next to professional athlete. Like, let's leverage that. Let's actually turn that into a business that we can enjoy running and that gives us the freedom to do what we want to do and help who we want to help. Whoo, man. I'm excited. Jason just booked a time to chat. Absolutely. Well, you're in our program, man, which yeah, we want to check in. Everybody in our program, we do a lot of one-on-one time. We check in every couple weeks, less than a couple weeks, 10 to 15 days. All right, so customize. Grab their attention. How? With uniqueness and surrounding the message and the messenger. So communicate the uniqueness of the messenger, ukulele playing psychologist, and the message. This is the closest thing to real magic that psychology has discovered. These are the outcomes that it creates. It's exactly what you're looking for, right? It's the thing you didn't even know you were looking for. So communicate. That's how we grab attention, with clarity, right? Not with whiz bang, shazam, wow, but with clarity. That's how we stand out in a noisy world. Here it is. This is huge. Be a human being. Be a human being. See that other person as a human being. Be a human being in response, being vulnerable and open and authentic about your weaknesses. Speak human language, right? We talk a lot about being influential with our language and our words. I mean, I wrote a book called Magic Words. It's incredible, the power of the words. And that's all we have. That's all we have to do on these sites. It's just write words on a page. And those who can write better words are going to create better outcomes. So see the human, be the human, and speak human, right? That's my advice for that. So there is no copying and pasting. There is no AI pitch templates just quite yet. I think they may create a starting point, but you got to put your human eyeballs on it if it's going to come across as human. Always reference their listing, use their words. Now, a pricing tip. Admit a minor weakness. We talked about that. And then include a call to action using the words, would you be opposed? And the call to action is booking a discovery call, because the quote that you're going to give them isn't complete. You're going to say, hey, look, I put a quote here. Here it is. It says, because she's local to you, she's based in the DC area. Her rate for a 60 to 90 minute workshop was $1,200. Does that sound like it'll work within your budget? There's a few different options. Maybe we should hop on a call. So the reason we're doing that is because they tell you what their budget is. Maybe 7, 8 times out of 10, they'll tell you what their budget is. Your job is to come just under that. If you're a new and emerging speaker and you really want that gig, come just under that. And then you can have the conversation. Once you get them to open your thing and shortlist you and get into conversation, then that number may move a little bit, right? When we talk about selling speeches, we talk about packaging. So, you know, the smaller package might be $1,200, but they also may go for the $12,000 package, right? Or the $120,000 package. It's quite a stretch, quite a range. Stranger things have happened after the conversation and after the demonstration of value. So coming in just under their budget is going to obviously put you one step ahead of all the other speakers who are like, oh, you have $1,500? Well, lo and behold, that's my fee. Oh, wait, you have $15,000? Wouldn't you know it? That happens to be my fee, right? That's not the approach here, right? We want to come just under, get the attention, enter into the conversation, knowing that, hey, this may move. And additionally, the mindset surrounding pricing is not what can I get, but at what price? And this, again, goes for the Bobber method exclusively. There's other ways to talk about pricing. There's other ways to get much higher pricing and higher fees. Again, this is strictly within this context. When you set your price, you want to, because there's so much competition here, there's other speakers, you want to set a number that you know you could crush anybody else at that fee, right? You could just dominate that fee level. So if somebody sees your listing and someone else's listing and they're about the same fee, but your value and your perceived expertise and your positioning is way up here, then they're obviously going to compare apples to oranges here and say, wow, this is way much more value for the price. So that's the pricing advice that I would have for you on these sites when submitting and being proactive. Now, those sites will also give you places to list your fees, and you can just say negotiable. You can just say, you know, need more information. You can give a range, 1,000 to 15,000, whatever your range may be. But again, ideally, you're not quoting hard and fast fees until you've had a conversation. However, these sites make you. If you want to get their contact information, you got to give us a quote. So both the Bash and Speaker Match create that opportunity for us. So All of these things come together to create best practices on the actual listing itself. But we haven't even started. We haven't even gotten into what happens after that. Once you submit, you start getting contact information. You get their email. Some cases you get their phone number and you get their name. With that, the follow-up game begins immediately. Immediately it's time. Immediately it's time to reach out to, thank you, Porter Patrol. Yep, you guys already have my links. Anybody in the program, you guys have your guidebook, your Get Speaking Gigs guidebook. All the ways we communicate in the program are listed, including the one-on-one calls. You can absolutely book those that way. You guys get behind the curtain. No worries there. All right, so that is step one, right? Send the pitch, get the contact information. Now it's time to follow up. This is the difference, in my opinion, and in my experience. The difference between the speakers who get booked and picked versus the speakers who don't is, are you following up? And are you following up off platform? So when a lead comes through the bash, I will submit my little reply. I'll submit my little quote. I'll come in with a number that I know I can crush. And I come in really, like the one I submitted today was $2,500 because I'm thinking of you guys. I'm thinking of my members. I'm thinking if I could match one of my speakers with this event, that would be great. So they see a $15,000, $20,000 speaker with a $2,500 price tag. And they're like, I think we should reply to this one. Right. And then we have a conversation. I say, oh, no, that was for this. It's not a bait and switch. It's open and I communicate it in the pitch. This is for my students. But again, at the end of the day, this creates the conversation. And I get the contact information. Immediately, I send a message on platform. Hey, I just submitted. If you're able to send a message, you send a message right on platform. Hey, just wanted to reach out, just submitted, appreciate, whatever information you have. And it doesn't matter. It almost doesn't matter what you say. You just reference the fact that you submitted a pitch. You submitted a bid. Then you email them off platform and you say, hey, just want to let you know I submitted a bid, just trying to touch base. Would you be opposed to hopping on a call so we can maybe explore how we might work together and make this a home run success for you? Whether you work with me or whether it's, somebody that I can refer to you, I just want to make sure your event is a success. That's your mindset. And sometimes you say it outright. Once again, there's no perfect template or script here. It's be a human, reach out and tell them, I care about the success of your event. Let's hop on a call so we can talk through some of the opportunities and options, different price points. I'm happy to send a proposal after we have that conversation. Then you send them a LinkedIn request. This, by the way, this is immediately. This isn't a week later. This is like today, the lead comes in. Immediately send a message on platform, submit the bid, then send another message on platform, then send an email, then send a LinkedIn friend request or connection request. Then you pick up the phone and you call them. And if they don't answer, you hang up and you call them right back. Some phones have no notifications. You got to hang up and call back to break through that. Some people will ignore the first, but pick up on the second. Double dial, right? This is, again, a huge secret in kind of the business to get through to people's, sometimes it's their personal cell phone. Sometimes it's their work phone. Double dial, get through. If they, again, if they don't pick up the first time, do not leave a voicemail. Hang up, call right back. If it's a voicemail again, then you leave a voicemail. Hey, it's Tim David. Just wanted to put a voice to the name. I know I sent you a message on platform. I know I reached out via email and on LinkedIn as well. I just want to absolutely make sure that I'm here for you and can put whatever information in your hands that you need. I know it's a time crunch. You've got probably a lot of plates spinning and a lot of noise out there. So happy to help you create and craft a great program that's going to make this just a home run success for you. Cool. Click. Once again, no scripts, no templates, no AI, no copy and paste. Your voice, your message saying, I care about the success of your event. I've reached out. I'm serious. I'm showing up. I'm putting in the effort. I'm not desperate. That's not communicating desperation. It's not, please call me back. I really need you to call me back because I really want this gig. No, he's saying, hey, I really care about the success of your gig. And when you want to contact someone, what do? Let's say great news happened. You just had a baby. You just won the lottery. What do? You pick up the phone. Maybe you text someone and you'll never guess. They don't respond. What do? You pick up the phone and you call. They don't answer. You hang up. You dial again. You blow them up. You show up because you're excited and you care and you want to share something, right? So you call them. You send them an email. You do it all at once. You don't wait a week and then another week goes by. No. In this industry and on these platforms, speed to lead wins. And not just speed, but diversity of approach. So all of the people who just signed up during their promotions are going to be scanning through these and batching and blasting, copying and pasting pitches, and they're going to get ignored. Whereas you are focusing, you are dialing in your messaging, you are clear about who you help and how you help them and why it matters and the value that you bring. You are pricing yourself in a way that you are just gonna crush it. You are following up and showing up in their inbox and going above and beyond more than anybody else would. And even in this book, when we share the Bobber method, we aren't sharing these secrets because this is stuff we've learned as we've launched speakers and gone and have collected even more data in what's working in 2024. This was published in 2019. So once again, when I say platform, I mean whichever platform it is on. So platform being Speaker Match, or platform being the Bash, or platform being Gig Salad. You contact them where and how they contacted you or put the bid out, and then you contact them off platform as well. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. Again, we've given some practical, tactical, real world. These opportunities exist today. Log in, get signed up, enjoy your discounts. I will post some more links into the chat before we wrap up. We are 11 minutes over time. That is 11 minutes extra value. And let's go ahead and do the links. Link number 1, Speaker Match. Bang. Speaker Match right there. It won't look desperate to reach out too much. Dana, that's a great question. And once again, the answer, in my opinion and my experience, has come to be like, hey, I am, I'm here to help, right? I'm here to help. I want to make sure you get matched with whatever the best option is. It isn't in how, let me try to phrase this properly. It isn't in like the media that you use. Like, for example, just because you called, or just because you emailed, or just because you did both. It's all in the language, right? It's all in more how you do it than what you're doing that creates the desperation. So if you look desperate, if you sound desperate, then it'll come across as desperate. How do we beat that? How do we overcome that? Is there a script or a tool? Or no, it's not templates and scripts. It is thinking in your mind and in your heart of hearts, I just want to help these people. I've got something that can help them. I'm going to reach out. If you don't have something that can help them, if you're reaching out to leads that aren't a glove fit for you, then it's just that you want something from them. You want the gig, you want the paycheck, right? So you want the opportunity to showcase whatever it may be. So if you adopt that mindset truly of, hey, I want to help these people. I've got something that I believe deep in my heart of hearts can help them. And even if I don't, my goal is to connect them with a speaker who would be a perfect fit. So even if some of the conversations I have with prospects, I say, I'm not your guy. That happens all the time. I say, I'm not your guy. Let me go ahead and connect you with one of our students. Let me go ahead and connect you with somebody that I think would be an absolute glove fit, within your budget and within the parameters of what you're looking for. So mindset of success for the presenter will overcome the vibe of desperation. And honestly, have you ever bought anything? And, when you're busy and, you got to hire a plumber or something like that, and you're like, oh my gosh, let me go on to Thumbtack and, try to go ahead. And thumbtack.com is another one that's technically a listing site. We've only had very minor success there. But if somebody's out there being like, give me them all, then thumbtack.com is another app that you may use. But anyway, you're trying to hire a plumber and you reach out and then you put your phone down and you move on with your life. And then somebody responds, you say, okay, I'll have to get back to him. And then you move on with your life, right? People are busy. People have a lot going on. And when you can show up and serve and take some of that off their plate and take leadership, not desperation, but leadership, then people appreciate it, right? And more often than not, it takes 5, 6, 7 contact points before people respond and they say this. Oh, thank you so much for being so persistent, right? Thank you so much for not letting this fall through the cracks. You know, we saw your thing. We loved it. We just haven't gotten a chance to get back to you. Let's do this. Let's just put something on the calendar and let's make it happen. So once again, blissfully persistent is what Aurel Moody calls it. And yeah, outcare, outserve, outdeliver, real, genuine value. If you vibrate desperate, says Evie, then others feel it. Otherwise, I think this is a professional follow-up and follow through. Yeah, remember, you're showing up for them, proving that you care and will show up for them after they pay you. So that is the mindset and the thinking there. We've got Speaker Match link in there. We've got the Bash link there. The reason I share these two in particular, number one, they are among our highest success rate with the speakers that we've seen come through this. I did get a lead from the Bash today as well. And I did that, followed up, reached out, sent the thing, sent the email, sent the LinkedIn, did a phone call. And again, there was no script, no template. It's just, hey, I see your event. And guess what else this does? When you join these programs and see all of the different events that people are looking for speakers for, you start to acknowledge and know deep down, maybe my topic, maybe my message isn't exactly the right hamburger for the hungry people here. Maybe what people are looking for isn't exactly, I'm going to try to squeeze this square peg into a round hole and try to make a pitch here, but maybe it isn't perfect. You start to get your finger on the pulse of the marketplace and know how to shift and adjust your messaging, or at least realize that a shift is in order. So that's another benefit to these memberships, is it helps you get your finger on the pulse and see what's out there, what's being booked now, and what people want, so that you can package and position yourself accordingly. So the money is well worth it. I know it is above and beyond what you may have invested in our program to join us. I know some of you are here being flies on the wall as we deliver this message to our members. But there is an investment, but please do consider it an investment and not an expense. This is something, once again, that is, just there's a lot of value here. Dan, one thing I'm thinking here as I'm talking, you being outside of the United States, there may be different listing sites that would be more applicable and appropriate for you, especially. So yes, knowing, and if you're willing to travel, obviously, if they're willing to pay the travel, that's one thing. But, yes, again, having the ability to see a lot of events and see what people are looking for is helpful. But I would, if you're outside of the US or maybe already a member of these, I would Google, what I like to do is I like to Google wherever I am in the world, right? What it is that you want to show up on Google for. So it might be professional keynote speaker on leadership. It might be, keynote speaker under $20,000. Whatever you want to show up for. Maybe it's a bunch of Google searches that you're doing. See who shows up. See who shows up. Maybe it's a listing site, a listing service that I've never heard of in your country. Maybe it's a listing site or a service that's super niche and operates in the healthcare industry, or maybe operates specifically for, CEOs like Vistage. So again, figuring out where it is that you want to show up, doing the Google search, and then seeing what comes up already and saying to yourself, oh, how can I hitch my wagon to that? Maybe there's a paid listing that I can take advantage of. And I already know they're successful and they're driving traffic because they're ranked on page 1 of Google, the Traffic King. So that is number one. That is our strategy today. Easy and fast way to book speaking gigs. Go to where they are already booking gigs, show up in front of them, cast your line into the net, and then be proactive about reeling them in. Ruth asks, what if your topic never shows up on listing sites? In fact, those of you who are in our program, like Ruth and Jason and Dana and Dean and Mark and Jason, go ahead and jump on our call tomorrow, our Q&A call, where we're going to unpack all of this and apply it to your specific situations. And whatever questions you have, bring those to the table on Wednesday. That is a great question. And bring it on to Wednesday. Send that email, as you know, to getspeakinggigs@gmail.com. AMA Q&A. That's for our members right there. All right, everybody else, I'm going to go ahead one more time and post a calendar link to me if you would like to book a strategy session surrounding your speaking business. If you are not already enrolled in our program, if you are not already super clear on where it is that you want to go in the speaking business, let's figure out what your goal is. Let's figure out how viable it is, and let's figure out the plan and the path to get you there. All of our members, that's exactly where they started as well, is that call right there. So if there's a fit, obviously, for inviting you in the program, fantastic. We'll have that conversation if you would like. And if there is another coach or another program, again, my goal is to get you to the success, the goal that you have, not the success or the goal that I have. So if it's high school speaking or other niches or other business models, I'm pretty well connected in the space and happy to make an introduction as well. The same is true in my speaking business as in GetSpeakingGigs.com. I care about the success of my clients. This is not any other motivation than that. So we practice what we preach, and we preach what we practice. This is a strategy that we use in our business. When we are tasked with getting speakers booked, we explore this as an option. We throw out those seeds. Then we move on to other momentum generation tactics and techniques. Everybody in our program, we're going to continue on through the 90-day gig getting bootcamp process and heap even more opportunity onto our plates, cast even more nets, plant even more seeds, and begin to watch the fruit bloom and blossom and develop in a period of weeks, not months or years. And once again, we're at the halfway point throughout that process. So that is it from our session today. Dennis says, highly recommended. I was so stuck before this program. Now things finally move to the right direction. Thank you for that. Much appreciated. And there it is. Program is, the link is showing up on the screen. Ooh, that was an accidental fortuitous button click, but there it is. All right. Thank you for all the emojis and the comments. We are going to wrap up today. That is it from me for now, but we're going to end the same way we always end our programs, and that is with two words. And those two words are speak soon. And I hope you do.